It's a Friday night and I'm outside on the porch. Inside there are 8 10-year-old girls that are sleeping over for Mackenzie's birthday party. So it's a little bit loud and crazy inside, which partly is why I'm out here. I'm also out here because it's just fantastically beautiful out here tonight, and I really enjoy being outside. And this temperature is kind of this time of year. It's going to be unbearably hot in a few months, and it's just really nice this time of year. We had our Unlock Your Creative Potential webinar today. Danny and I hosted it. We had 33 people sign up, and we knew several people were going to be watching the replay later. They weren't able to make it live, but live we had, I think it was 17 people there with us, and it was really engaging. I was energized through it. I was very excited for the way that it went. And the one thing that I was really surprised by in a really, really good way was the chat was going the entire time of people sharing insights and replying to other people's insights and just comments about unlocking potential, stepping into a space of vulnerability, creativity. And there's a lot of camaraderie and a lot of, I think, encouragement from what I picked up of people sharing their vulnerability and people responding going, yes, that's right. Yes, I resonate with that. And I think that's so much part of the power of being in a group. Actually, this is not even what I was going to talk about. So I don't really remember what I titled this. I titled this one Powerful Insights from Today's Webinar. And I guess that still is right. I'm just talking about it in a different way than I was going to. So the power of being in a group of like-minded, like-valued people that's taking action is part of it is just what we experienced in the chat in today's webinar was the relatableness of people taking action, the relatableness of being human, and even one we were talking about being imperfect, and actually. So I have here one of the insights that somebody wrote in the chat was, it's okay to be imperfect. Mistakes are actually relatable and show progress. And I thought about that as a coach to my clients, as a client to my coaches. As a client, I don't want my coach to be perfect. I can't relate to a perfect person. I want somebody who is able to understand me. I want somebody who's able to see me, and I want somebody who's able to sit in the pain and the frustration and not sit in the fear with me, but be able to understand that they've experienced fear of rejection before, fear of failure before, fear of success before. They've experienced this fear before. But really what I want to focus on here is something called the bystander effect and how it stops so many people from taking a step forward, stops so many people from taking a step of courage, stops so many people from living out the life that they could be living in a way that matters. So the bystander effect really came out of, it was an event in the 1960s, and I think I have most of these details correct, but it was in the 1960s in a major city in America, maybe Atlanta, New York City, Chicago, somewhere. There's a lady walking downtown, and it was dark, late at night, and a man came up to her and started stabbing her, hitting her. Anyway, there were people in the apartments around, and they just kind of stuck their head out the window and looked, and nobody was doing anything. But the guy who was stabbing the lady, or hurting the lady, just stepped away because so many people were watching him. And he realized after a few minutes, nobody's actually going to come do anything. So he came back out, raped the lady, killed the lady, and moved on. And at one point, even somebody, I think, yelled at him, but that was it. Like, that was all that somebody did, was yell at the guy, and this horrific incident took place. And so out of that was born the 911 call. Because there was no 911 call before then, there was nothing, nobody was doing anything. And so now something happens, obviously the first thing that we do is call 911. But they psychologists studied that event, and they developed what they call the bystander effect, which is still very much in effect today in human behavior. And the bystander effect looks like this. There's a couple ways that it shows up. One of them is the more people that I'm around that aren't taking action, the less likely I am to take action. And you think about this in a setting of if somebody, here's a good story. I don't know exactly where it happened, but it was some guy started dancing out in the festival or something, and he was just dancing by himself, and then one person stepped up and danced with him. Then 4 people stepped up and were dancing with him in the front of the festival, and then 75, and it went from 1 to 2 to 4 to 75. And it really, when nobody was doing it, nobody else was going to do it. So the bystander effect looks like this. The more people that you're around who aren't taking action, the less likely you are to take action. And then when you do take action, the likely feeling is one of, oh my word, I'm on my own. I'm by myself. What if I'm not doing the right thing? What if I'm going to be judged? What if? And so the tendency is to shrink back into shadows, shrink back into the group, and just become part of the bystanders. So one thing that I really appreciated about the webinar today in the chat was obvious that the bystander effect was dead in that group. Everybody was encouraging everybody to lean into creativity, lean into vulnerability, lean into authenticity. And there was a couple insights that I did want to share. And one of them, Danny was sharing his story about how he used to feel bad that people would pay him to play at events. Like he's such a naturally gifted musician. He can just sit down and play, and it takes seemingly so little energy for the benefit that people get from it. It almost seems not fair that people would pay him. This used to be the story that he told himself, and the shift that he's made, that he was sharing with us in the webinar, is when he realized that the gift he has in music is a gift that he can share, that he started owning the gift he has, and he started realizing it's a way not to gimmick people to give him money, but to serve people in a way that music serves people in a very special way. It encourages emotions to come to the surface. It encourages people to relax. It encourages people to just take a deep breath and enjoy life in a way that many other things don't. And once he realized his gift is a gift in a way he gets to serve people, it was a whole new way of showing up and serving other people. And a couple of people really resonated with that idea. One lady even commented in the chat. She said, "I want to be a keynote speaker," and she said, "It's not about me; it's about those I serve through my speech." And so often, I've been guilty of this before, where I want people to, even coming to the webinar, I wrestled with this a little bit. I want people to come to the webinar so that they can come to the webinar and I can see the registration numbers go up. There was that part of me that I was aware of, where I just wanted people to come to the webinar so I could say so many people showed up to the webinar. But really, what I worked through and what I chose to show up as was, I want people to come to the webinar because I know it could be a life-changing event. An insight that they gain through that could be a completely life-changing event. And for the lady who commented on being a keynote speaker, it may very well be a life-changing event for her. The day that she becomes a keynote speaker, she'll be able to look back and remember the shift that she saw from Danny's story, from today's webinar. And it's not about our gifts being a burden to others. It's about our gifts being a way to serve others. I remember, and I talk about this often, but 10 years ago, one of my coworkers telling me that I cared too much about my customers. And I thought the only solution at that point was to care less. Like, just find a way to just not care. If I have an emotion come up there where I feel like I care about them, if I feel for them, if I want to help them a certain way, I should just push that away. I care too much. That was my solution to what I see now as my gift. Caring deeply is one of my gifts. Thinking slowly is one of my gifts that I can sit in. I can just create a very open, vulnerable space with people and just explore the way they see the world. and offer a possibility that there's another way to see the world. Today, for example, I was coaching a couple and about finances. And this is where the thinking slowly, caring deeply really serves me in a way that I get to serve others. I was talking with them, and this is my first time coaching them together this way. And they both talked about, they made this comment separately. They said it's really hard to talk about money. And I said, I went to mirror back to you that you both said it's hard to talk about money. And I said, if I put a dollar bill on the table, there's nothing about the dollar bill that makes it hard to talk about the dollar bill, is that we create a hardness about talking about money. And when a married couple, they both think it's hard to talk about money, then they don't talk about money. And then one other thing we were talking about with them is they're driving blind when it comes to how much they're spending, where's money going? It's just going. We're just driving blind. Well, and then when you're driving blind and you don't know where money's coming or going, well, then you certainly don't want to talk about money. And when you certainly don't want to talk about money, then now you're driving blind, and it's this vicious cycle. And so I offered to them, it doesn't have to be hard to talk about money. They've been married for 12 years. I said, you've got a lot of practice. You've got a lot of practice demonstrating to yourselves that it is hard to talk about money. It doesn't have to be, and we can create a whole new way of relating to each other in marriage when it comes to money, that it doesn't have to be hard to talk about money. And and we talked about ways that they can do that. You know, he's the guy who wants to do the budget and run the numbers and stop all the spending, and she's the one who wants to spend, and that's the way it is with Katie and me. So I get that. And we talked about ways that they can encourage communication with each other, where she wants to help him and he wants her help, but they've always seen it as such a hard way to talk about money that they never told each other that they wanted to help each other with money until the conversation today. And that's where the thinking slowly, the caring deeply, I was able to serve them today because I saw my gift as a gift to them, not a burden where I needed to care less and just not think as deeply. So I had a really good time. I really, really enjoyed the webinar today. The thought even crossed my mind about, I've done a few webinars before, but I never put on a regular schedule to do a webinar. So I'm thinking maybe I'll do a webinar, I don't know, every other month or something like that, and put it on a regular basis, because I really enjoy getting a group together and having them interact with each other. It's not that I need to get up and speak for the whole time, because if you just put 4 people in a room together that are like-minded, like-valued people who are interested, who are leaning into personal growth, I'll just sit back and listen and just guide the conversation a little bit. But the insights, the energy, the vision, the dreams, the questions, I draw a lot of energy from that. So webinar was very good, very, very powerful insights that I got from some of the others as well. And then next Friday, Danny and I are officially kicking off the 90-day creator challenge. I'm writing a book this summer. My commitment is to spend 30 days, 30 minutes per day writing, editing, publishing a book, so that at the end of 90 days, which will be August 18th, and I'm being really clear and public about this because it helps me be committed to it every day. So by August 18th, which is the end of the 90 days, I will have a book published, and it'll probably be a 25-page book on the topic somewhere of what is authenticity, or maybe the idea about authenticity, creativity, and vulnerability, how they all play together. So that is what's up, and I'm excited. I'm really, really excited. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're excited about what you're doing in life. If you made it this far through the video and you're not excited about what you're doing in life, here's an open invitation. Send me a message. I'd love to sit down with you and explore what might be exciting in life, and maybe we can come up with a few things that might be able to point you in the direction of finding some excitement, doing things that excite you in life and bring you alive. So that's an open invitation for you. Have a good night. I will see you tomorrow.